Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It is the 1st of February, and so I thought it would be a good time to start a new vlog. January was a horrible month in my life, and February does not have a lot of potential to get better soon, so we'll just see. So what I wanted to do today is first of all show you one book that I'm in the middle of right now, and that is Our Violend Ends by Chloe Gong. I am not even 100 pages into this one. I don't know whether I want to really prioritize this one and get it out of the way, or whether I want to start some new books. Not quite sure yet, but yeah, I am enjoying this one. But reading has not been a priority in January. I have read very little with my eyeballs, so we'll see how that develops in February. And I do have a little TBR stack I want to share with you. These are books by Black authors I have on my physical TBR, and I would love to get to this February. So this is my little stack right here. I'm not gonna go into all of these books right now, but just so you know, we do have a little bit of a selection. But one thing I want to try to do to kind of get back into reading in February is reading one story from Out There Screaming each day to just kind of get me back into the habit. And I'm very excited about this short story collection, and I can't wait to start reading it. And then for my audiobook, I just started listening to The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, I think the title is. I will have to look it up again, but this is also a short story collection of 9 stories. And I was out walking just now, and I finished the first story and I really liked it. It is about 2 women who come together to find pleasure in each other every New Year's Eve, and the way that God is kind of standing in their way to just be together in general and find happiness. And I really enjoyed that one. It was very sensual in a way. I just really liked it. And I think I'm almost done with the second story as well, which seems to be much shorter and deals with 2 people who have mothers who are in palliative care because they have cancer. And those 2 people kind of find solace in each other, but then maybe even something more. So that's all I have for my reading right now. I'll update you when something interesting happens. So this is not the cutest update, but I'm currently halfway through The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, and I wanted to give you a quick update. So I finished the 3rd story, Dear Sister. I really like that one. It is a very interesting look at complex family structures and relationships, because we're having kind of a letter that is written to a sister who doesn't know her other sisters, but the father has just passed away. I really enjoyed that story. I thought it was very fascinating and well done. And then the next one was Peach Cobbler, which explored a mother-daughter relationship and kind of the men in their lives. And I like that one quite a lot as well. This is the longest story in the collection, and I think a lot of people love that one. For me personally, I thought it was a little bit one-sided. I would have loved to know more about the mother, because she is a very interesting character as well, and I would love to have seen kind of where she's coming from. And then the next story, Snowfall, I really loved. It is one that is very similar to my circumstances, because the main character works at a university, moved through the country to a part that is kind of foreign to her, and that's basically my life. It's also a sapphic story, so we have 2 women being in love, but they're kind of out of the honeymoon phase. I still have a couple of minutes, I think like 5 minutes left of that story, so I'm not quite done with it, but I think so far this might be my favorite just because it is the most relatable to me, and it kind of discusses home and what home means to us, and that's a question I've been struggling with quite a bit in the last year, so it's something that really speaks to me, and so I'm really liking this collection and I can't wait to read the remaining stories. And then quickly for Out There Screaming, I have read the first story by N.K. Jemisin, which was quite gory and gross and disgusting. And that's not always my favorite horror, but I think it really worked. It was definitely one where I turned the page and I wanted to know what the hell's going on, so it did its job. And then today I read the story by Rebecca Roanhorse, which I was very excited about because Rebecca Roanhorse is one of those authors I've had my eye on for so long. And I'm just waiting for her to finish her fantasy trilogy so I can read it, hopefully next year. And so, yeah, I was very excited about that. And it didn't disappoint in a way. It is quite short, but I liked the Monster Hunter vibes. I was a big fan of the first seasons of Supernatural, so I just love that dynamic. And we are also looking at siblings who are monster hunting. And it had a nice little twist at the end. It wasn't like scary horror, but as I said, I like that kind of like monster hunting theme. So really enjoying those stories as well. And I also really liked the introduction by Jordan Peele and how he talked about Get Out and his inspiration and thought process. Really liked that. So today is the 5th of February, and over the weekend actually quite a bit of reading has happened that I can update you on. I feel like the lighting is too bright. But first and foremost, I finished my audiobook Secret Lives of Church Ladies, which I really enjoyed. I gave this collection 4.5 stars, and out of the 9 stories I gave 2 of them 5 stars, I think 2 4 stars, and the rest 2.5 star. I gave 2 of them 5 stars, 2 of them 4 stars, and the rest 4.5 stars. So I really loved all of the stories. I don't think there was a single one that I didn't like. And my 2 favorites were Snowfall and How to Make Love to a Physicist. Those were just perfection and I really loved it. So I would highly recommend you go check this collection out. I know that I started talking about the stories, but I don't remember which one I talked about last. So let me just say that it is magnificent and you should absolutely read this, especially if you have access to it for free on Audible, because then you have literally no excuse if you have Audible. So then, talking about short stories, I also continued on in Out There Screaming. I'm reading 1 story a day, and so far that is working out really well and it makes me very happy. I think the last story I talked to you about was the second one. So that was the Rebecca Roanhorse story. Then next we have the story by Cadwell Turnbull, which I was very excited about as well because I've had my eye on his books too. So I was very intrigued to see what this story does, but that one didn't really work for me. I didn't find it to be quite horror and I wasn't quite sure what the main point was. So I gave it 3 stars. I didn't really like that one. Then we have a story by Leslie Nikarima, which is an author I had never heard about. So that is always exciting as well to discover new people. And that story definitely had a very good drive and I thought it was very interesting. It plays with the idea of alien babies and kind of, you know, like the Sims abduction where Sims get pregnant after they've been abducted by aliens and stuff. But then I just lacked a little bit of closure with that one. I felt like it could have used 3 more pages or something. So I liked it, but I didn't absolutely love it. So I'm gonna continue with that tonight and I'm very excited. Then yesterday I finally got a little bit of reading mojo back and I read more in Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. I'm now almost halfway through. I'm 200 pages in. This is very entertaining, very fun. I definitely have a good time reading this. And so yeah, my little experiment with the short stories to get me back into reading definitely worked yesterday. And I'm very happy to finally make progress and find time for reading again. And I think this book is great because it is a little bit more fluffy, entertaining, fun, but definitely has its dark moments as well. So I'm very intrigued to see where that goes. We had a couple of turns that I did not see coming, so that's always really good. And then lastly, I started a new audiobook. It is one of the 5 new to me authors I want to try this year. So there will be a complete separate vlog for that. But I quickly wanted to mention it here, and that is Victor LaValle. And I started The Changeling, which is a book that has very like good reviews and won like awards and stuff. So far really liking it, but I will not talk about it here in detail. You'll get the whole vlog. So that's that for now. I'm heading to work now and we're just gonna pretend that I'm fine. That's what I want to try this week. Just pretend that I'm fine and maybe then it becomes true. We'll see. But it definitely feels good to look like a human again. So I don't know if I talked about it in my last update, but I'm having a lot of health problems because of a tooth. And as I said, we're gonna pretend I'm fine. So today is the 7th of February and today is a very, very gloomy day. So I hope the lighting works out okay. It's so difficult in the winter to film with natural light. I am making progress in The Changeling. So far it's going very well. I'm almost 30% through it, and after the 25% mark there was this huge change in like tone and story, and I'm very intrigued to see where we go from there because we're getting into the dark stuff now. So very excited about that. And then I also made more progress in Out There Screaming. So I read 2 more stories. I have read the other one by Violet Ellen. That one wasn't really for me. It is one that, I don't know, it had this like relationship thing at its core that just didn't vibe with me at all. So I didn't really feel that one. And then we have La Sirène by Erin E. Adams that I read yesterday, and that one is a dark mermaid story or a dark siren story, and I love those. Like if you know anything about me, you know that I love my dark mermaids. I did a whole dark mermaid reading vlog last year, so that story I really enjoyed. And this is the author of Jekyll, and I have seen that book around and have been intrigued, but always heard like mixed things. But after this story, I'm kind of intrigued again, so I'll keep my little eye out for that. Maybe I'll get the audiobook at some point, because I really loved that story. It focuses on three sisters and it is set on Haiti, I think. So yeah, I just loved it all around. That was a great story. So that's where I'm at reading wise. I try to finish Our Violent Ends this week. I really try, so I can get into the rest of my like Black History Month TBR. But yeah, I'm happy. It's going better, and that's helping, you know? So today's the 11th of February. My reading kind of going okay, I would say. Not very great, but we'll just go with it. I'm still kind of obsessed with the Blacklist, so whenever I start watching, being like, just one episode, I like watch 3 or 4. So that's why my reading is just going very slowly. But what have I read? Well, I'm still pretty much halfway through Our Violent Ends. And I had promised myself I would finish it this week, so today would be my last day. And I still have like not quite 250 pages to go. So we'll see. I'll make an effort today to actually read this book. But I don't know, I think I'm just not in the mood for the big fantasy right now. And I have dragged this book through so many weeks that I just convinced my brain I don't want to read it. Not because of the content of the book, but just because it has taken so long. So I will make an effort today to read as much as possible for me. And then we'll see how far we can get with it. I'm still enjoying it, like whenever I read it, I am enjoying it, but I just found myself to get distracted so easily. So that's a little bit annoying. I'm also still reading Out There Screaming, and I think I have another 2 stories to update you on. Yeah, I think the last one I told you about was The Rider. So I have read 2 more stories. I have read the Estate? I have no idea how you would say that. It's such a weird word. Like, I know that like for some reading challenge this year, there is a challenge and a title that you have to look up in the dictionary, and that would definitely be the case with this story. I have no idea what that means. And the story really wasn't for me. It's in kind of like IA, kind of artificial life story, which is just nothing I'm interested in. It kind of reminded me of a crossover of Clara and the Sun and Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. So I didn't really find it to be so unique or new. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. I gave it 3 stars. And then I also read Pressure, and that one, I just felt a bit stupid. In this one, we're following a character that is mixed race, grew up in a white family, and I presume it is a man, even though I don't think it is mentioned in the story, but he goes back to see his cousins, and they have a very strained relationship, and one of the cousins is kind of the Republican of the family, and he works for this like weird startup where they're trying to fix the weather. And I think that goes wrong. I don't know. Is that what the story is about? I was just so confused by it. But it was written in second person, which is something I love. I know so many people hate it, but I love second person narration. So that story definitely was for me in the writing style, but I just did not get what was going on. So today I will probably read the story by Nnedi Okorafor, which I'm very excited about because that's also an author I have been eyeing, so we'll see. And then last but not least, for my audiobook, The Changeling, I think I'm about 80% through with that, so I will probably finish it in the next few days, and I'm just loving it. it's so great. Like, I think that's also why our Violend end suffers a little bit, because in my head I'm constantly thinking about the Changelings. So yeah, but that's my reading. I'll update you when something interesting happens. Today is the 12th of February. I have 50 pages left of our Violend ends. I did a lot of reading in this yesterday, which makes me very happy to finally come to the end of this. There were definitely quite a few scenes that I have kind of been waiting for. You know, if you know Romeo and Juliet, there is just some things that need to happen. So yeah, we're leading up to the big finale now. I think that this series is definitely entertaining. I personally think that I would have liked it more as audiobooks, just because these more like fast-paced action stories sometimes just work a little bit better for me on audio, but I'm excited to finish it, and then I will give you my final update. So today is the 14th of February. Happy Valentine's Day if you are celebrating. I have updates. Finally, I read books. Can you believe it? Okay. First of all, last night I finished All Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. This is the conclusion to this duology, which is a Romeo and Juliet, right? Whatever. Romeo and Juliet kind of reimagining, set in Shanghai in the 1920s. And yeah, I'm so happy I finally finished this book. I feel like I've been reading it for so long. It took me months to read this book, but I did it, and I did really like it. I gave it 4 stars. I think that this is one of those series that I just would have probably liked more as audiobooks, but I had a good time with it. I definitely want to read more Chloe Gong. Like, my big goal was always to finally finish this duology so I can move on to her other books and see whether she's one of those authors that just works for me quite well. I think that this book really had a great ending. I really enjoyed the way it ended. It is a tiny little bit open, and I always do like that, and it also sets up the other books in this world, but it's still a satisfying conclusion to what is going on in this book. And this definitely made me interested to read more like non-fiction about Shanghai, just like the history of the city, because I have no idea about it, and this gave me some ideas of what was going on, and I found that to be very intriguing. The romance was also good. Like, there is a lot of like ups and downs, I guess, because we do have a lot of like betrayal in this duology. So if you like the like angst and, you know, sides changing all the time and new stuff being revealed, then you will probably like this one. I had a good time with it. It's not like one of my favorite romantic couples I've read, but I've definitely found it to be entertaining. And I did like Juliet and Roma as like individual characters, and there's also a lot of like the side characters that I liked in this one, like Kathleen or Celia, and I think Rosalind's storyline is also very interesting. And then also we get more of Elisa, and also the boys. No spoilers. So yeah, really like this. Would recommend if you're interested, and if for some reason like me you still hadn't read it. So then I also finished my audiobook, which was The Changeling by Victor LaValle. I won't say a lot about this here because I did a whole reading vlog, which will probably be up after this one. So that one I really liked. I think I'm giving it around like a 4.25 stars, like I'm rounding it up to 4.5 stars. Really good book. I would definitely recommend if you're interested, and I would also recommend you check out my vlog when I upload it if you're interested in that book. But I'm very happy that I've read it, and so now I've started a new audiobook, and that is The Undertakers by Nicole Glover. This is the second book in this series where we follow a couple. So we have a female and a male character that we're following. Forgetting the names already. and they solve like mysteries. This is kind of like a magical mystery series, and this is set in, I think, the early 1900s in the US, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, they're solving these mysteries, and they are looking at like weird fires that started in this one, so we'll see. I haven't really gotten too far into it yet, but I liked the first book. I think I gave it around 3.5 stars, and I wanted to check out the second book for a while now. And then yesterday when I looked up the author, I also saw that there will be more books in that world soon, but with other main characters. So that's very intriguing because I kind of like that world. They do have a celestial magic that is based on constellations. So if you like this kind of stuff, I would recommend checking that series out. But let's see how I will like the second book. And then I will start a new book today, and that is Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. I am a little bit scared because I don't know what to expect. Like, I am not very much into religion, so this I think discusses religion quite a lot, and then also being black in America and racism and stuff. So I'm intrigued, but also a little bit scared what's gonna happen. But this book will also get a complete reading vlog on its own, so I will not talk a lot about this one here. We'll see. And then the one book I have not continued on with in the last couple of days is Out There Screaming, but I promise I will make more progress in this one as well. But I just wanted to focus on finishing All Violent Ends finally. So we'll do probably one more update in 2 days, and then that will be the end for this vlog. So let's see how much reading I can get done in the next 2 days. So today is the 16th of February, and that means we have come to the end of this vlog. I want to quickly mention the last things I have read in the last 2 days since I updated you. So I did not start Go Tell It on the Mountain yet. I will do that tonight, so no update for that. But I did read 2 more stories in Out There Screaming. I read the story by Nnedi Okorafor. This is called Dark Home, and this is quite a long story for this collection, but I really liked it. It has some African mythology in it. I think it's Nigerian, and yeah, it definitely was creepy. I looked up some pictures of the like mythology thing that is mentioned in the story, and it's definitely creepy, so I did like that one. And then yesterday I read Flicker by L.D. Lewis, and I also liked this one. I thought it could have been a little bit longer. It's quite short in comparison, and I think that the ending was just a little bit unsatisfying to me. Like, it has a very abrupt ending, and I don't know, like, I would have liked more, but I think like the overall idea with this moment when suddenly the whole world goes dark, like no one can see for 20 some, I think 21 or 24 seconds, and that kind of creates chaos. I thought that was a very clever idea, very interesting. So definitely still going strong with this collection, still enjoying it. And then lastly, I am almost a quarter of the way into The Undertakers. This is my current audiobook, and I am liking it. This is the second book in a series, and so we are following kind of a new mystery case with this one, but we're still following the same characters. So I really liked these characters in the first book. That's why I wanted to continue. But I feel like the way these stories are told are sometimes a bit challenging for me, because we have a lot of like time jumps, because these characters were conductors for the Underground Railroad. So we often jump back to the time when slavery was not abolished, looking at certain people they saved and stuff like that, and that is then connected to the current case or like the villain of the story or something like that. So it is sometimes a bit hard to follow, especially on audio, but I still really enjoy it. I don't have an issue with just going along with the story, even if I don't get like all the important details. So I'm pretty sure I will still like this, but I wanted to mention it in case you want to check that series out, that it does, yeah, it just jumps around a little bit too much for my taste, so we'll see. But yeah, that's my reading so far for February. Maybe a quick update if you're interested right at the end now. If you've watched my January videos, you know I have struggled with a tooth for weeks now. It started right at the beginning of January and I've been in a lot of pain in January. It has gotten better, and yesterday I went back to the dentist. I did get another like treatment for the tooth. And fingers crossed, hopefully, now we're on the right path. I had very little pain last night and I currently don't have a lot of pain, so that is a very, it makes me hopeful. So if you have fingers available to cross for me, I would appreciate that. And then hopefully, if I'm really lucky, in March this whole story will be over, because it was exhausting, but we'll see. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a lovely start of February. I will be back with more reading vlogs for February, so if you want, you can subscribe so you don't miss out, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!